And welcome everybody to today's City Council meeting today, Monday, May 12th, 2025. I now call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
District 1, Councilmember Casey.
Present.
District 2, Councilmember Vieira.
Present.
District 3, Councilmember Otero.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Martinez.
Present.
Mayor Lopez.
Present. Please stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Pastor Davis. He is on Zoom, according to our documentation. Is he on there? You got him? There you go. The hand raised. Getting ready to give you access.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Amen. Okay. Thanks so much for having me. Good evening to everybody, the guests, city council members, and residents and all. Let's just take a minute to ask God for his wisdom and humility during our meeting. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the chance to serve the wonderful community of Ceres. Would you please guide and give us wisdom as important matters are discussed tonight. May the conversations be filled with understanding, respect, and kindness. And God, would you help us to listen carefully and make fair decisions that reflect the needs and the dreams of everyone. Bless this meeting tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay. We'll start off with our presentations. We have a service award for Lieutenant Hudson. I believe Chief's going to take care of this one. And then after that, we'll go up there, Council. We'll have a seat. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City staff, and citizens. It is my honor to present Lieutenant Travis Hudson with his 20-year service award. Before joining the Ceres Police Department, Lieutenant Hudson honorably served his country 12 years in the United States Air Force. Once joining the police department, he spent several years as a patrol officer, then was a founding member of our street crimes unit. From there, he went to the Central Valley Gang Task Force, which he spent several years there before promoting to sergeant. As a sergeant, he was our SWAT team leader. He was also part of our traffic unit and promoted to lieutenant in 2023 and is now our special operations lieutenant. I'd like to thank him for his 20 years of service, and I'll turn it over to him. What for you? Give him a round of applause.
I want to say thanks, right? Not many people reach 20 years, and they certainly don't do it alone. I've been lucky over the years to work with a bunch of awesome people. I work for one of my most favorite people in the world right now, so it makes it much easier. I work with a bunch of good people, and then I have a ton of good people working for me. So I've enjoyed every second of this. Hopefully I can give you another 6, 7, 8 years. Who knows? I have no idea, but my mind or my body, I don't know which one will go first. They're both pretty close. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take picture. Oh. Picture.
Looking sharp. Another round of applause for this. Congratulations. Okay, before the city council goes up there, we have 3
proclamations. The first one will be Stroke Awareness Prevention Month, and Dorothy with the Doctors Medical Center will be accepting that. We have National Public Works Week proclamation, and we have Sam Royal from our Public Works Director who will be accepting that. And we have the Mental Health Awareness proclamation, and we didn't get anybody to accept that. So if the council could please go up here with me and we'll start it off.
Okay. Whereas when it comes to strokes, every second counts. Whereas nearly 2 million brain cells die each minute a stroke remains untreated. Whereas rapid access to medical treatment oftentimes makes the difference between full recovery and permanent disability. And whereas act fast, face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call 911, someone is having a stroke. And whereas strokes can happen to anyone at any age, 80% of strokes are preventable. Whereas strokes are the 5th leading cause of death in the United States and a leading cause of severe disabilities, and whereas an average one person dies from a stroke every 4 minutes, and more than 795,000 people have a stroke each year in the United States. And whereas prevent a stroke by managing your blood pressure, controlling your cholesterol, reducing your blood sugar, staying active, eating better, losing weight, and not smoking. Now, therefore, be it resolved on behalf of our Mayor, Javier Lopez, and the City Council, Vice Mayor Daniel A. Martinez, Council members James Casey, Rosalind Vieira, Serena Ortego, do hereby designate the month of May 2025 as National Stroke Awareness Month. I urge all citizens to take steps to better their health in an effort to avoid the chances of having stroke. And I might add that on the 4th Tuesday of every month, Doctors Medical Center has a support group that is very helpful for people that have had a stroke, whether it was 5 years ago or 2 months ago. It's an opportunity to hear what you can do to better yourself. Thank you very much, and here's staff.
Say something? Thank you, council members. So I think Mr. Casey covered everything. Stroke is very common in our community, so please keep an eye out for the stroke symptoms. I like to always show this magnet, and there are a few more in the back. And it says B fast. So B is for balance. So if there's somebody who's having issues with loss of balance, E is for eyes. So if you're having blurry visions or vision issues, F is for face. So facial droop on one side. A is for arm or leg weakness on one side, and S is for speech. So that's slurred speech or difficulty having, getting your words out like I am right now. But so when that happens, T is to time to call 911. So please keep that in mind. It can save lives. And also, like Mr. Casey mentioned, we do have a really good stroke support group for our community members. So if you know anybody, please spread the word. And thank you so much. I'm going to have Dr. Neil speak on behalf of DMC as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to sort of give you a status of where we are, we're a comprehensive stroke center. For the last 5-6 years now, we've been either the second or third busiest stroke center in the state of California for volume and cases. So it's incredibly busy. Because of that, our staff is highly experienced and well seasoned, and we take care of this community with pride.
Sure.
Thank you, Sam. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are important to sustainable and resilient communities and public health, high quality of life, and the well-being of the people of Ceres. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supplies, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And whereas it is in the public's interest, civic leaders and children in Ceres to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public work and public work programs in their respective communities. Whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Javier Lopez, Mayor of the City of Ceres, on behalf of the City Council, Vice Mayor Daniel A. Martinez, Council Members James Casey, Rosalinda L. Vieira, and Serena Otero, do designate this week of May 18th, 18th through the 24th, 2025, as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with their representatives at the American Public Works Association and government agencies in events and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our nation's health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all.
Good evening, Mayor, and Council Member. On behalf of the Public Works Department, I'm honored to accept the proclamation recognizing Public Works Week. This recognition is a great deal for our staff. It reinforces the value of hard work, dedication, and professionalism our team brings to the city every day. Thank you for acknowledging the essential role of Public Works. We are proud to serve the community and will continue to do so with pride and commitment. Thank you so much.
You're going to do the last one. And this Thursday, we actually have a mental health awareness gala that'll actually be here at the Ceres Community Center. So this is bringing awareness to what we actually are supporting here in Ceres, which is the mental health awareness, which is the month of May. Whereas mental health includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also affects how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. And whereas mental health is important as our individual well-being and vitality, as well as that our families, communities, and businesses. And whereas nearly 1 in 5 American adults have a diagnosable mental health condition in any given year, more than 42.5 million U.S. adults live with anxiety disorder, the most common mental health condition in America. And whereas May 1st through May 31st, 2025 is recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month, and whereas Mental Health America, MHA, is a national nonprofit dedicated to promoting the promotion of mental health, well-being, and prevention. And whereas MHA's 2025 theme is Turn Awareness into Action, which celebrates the progress we've made in recognizing the importance of mental health and provides challenges to turn understanding into meaningful steps towards change. And whereas mental health management ensures that individuals can focus their abilities on life, work, learn, and fully participate and contribute to the society while promoting diversity, inclusion, and acceptance. And now, therefore it be resolved, I, Javier Lopez, Mayor of the City of Ceres, on behalf of the City Council, Vice Mayor Daniel A. Martinez, Council Members James Casey, Rosalinda Alviera, Serena Otero, do hereby recognize the month of May 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Month. We call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutes, businesses, and schools to commit to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health illnesses and the need to appreciate and access services for all people with mental health illnesses to promote recovery and a high quality of life. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to citizens' communications. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in city council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes. Resolution 2007-106 for expression of the non-agenda items, matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not on the posted agenda, may be addressed by general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking any action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the City Council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Anyone wishing to address the City Council must adhere to the rules of decorum. The rules of decorum are posted outside the chamber doors. And we'll start with our representatives if they are here today. Doesn't look like they are. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with in-person comments. If you are here to make a comment, please step up to the podium.
Good evening, City Council and staff. Just wanted to give you a chamber update. We have a few events that are coming up if anybody's interested. Tomorrow is our Kids Day. We're going to help Salvation Army sell newspapers. We will be over at the new Walmart. So if anybody wants to come and help, all the money, 100% of the proceeds go back to the Salvation Army. May 14th, which is this Wednesday at 9 a.m., we're doing the ribbon cutting for Panda Express. So I did see on their, I think it was Facebook, the first 88 people get, excuse me, a free t-shirt. So you got to get there early. But if you're interested in coming to that, they are already open, but we're going to do the grand opening and ribbon cutting. May 20th is our Ag Luncheon, the Chamber Ag Luncheon. This is going to be at the Diamond Bar Arena, which is Shane Parsons' place, from 11:30 to 1:30. And 100% of those proceeds go back to scholarships for high school students. Everything is donated, volunteer, so it will be for our scholarships for next year. And lastly, Joey, I'm sure will speak a little bit more on this later, but our Hot Air Balloon Festival is getting here quickly. It will be here in June on the 14th. So it's going to be early in the morning and it's going to be exciting. So make sure you put it on your calendar. That's it for the chamber update.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else?
Gene Akeley series. I didn't want to be here this evening to do this, but it affected my family and some of our friends. I've lived here 36 years. My wife goes to Allow Temple on Service Road, 3819 East Service Road. On May 4th, Mr. Lopez and another nicely dressed gentleman went to the temple to present this temple with 40 years of recognition of being in our community. When my wife came home, a friend of hers sent a photo of Mr. Lopez and the gentleman next to him. This is a religious sanctuary of sorts. And evidently, you didn't do any research, which you should have done. I'm sure you wouldn't do that at some other churches, especially in the area where it's the altar, right? So with what few minutes I got left, there's kind of like decorum protocol here. In a place as holy as a Buddhist temple, where respect is paramount, knowing what to wear and what to avoid will help you leave a positive impression. You didn't do that. Dressing the right way in a Buddhist temple. Keep in mind that a Buddhist temple is a place of worship and peace, where people come together to learn about the Buddhist teaching and practice meditation and prayer. It is also important to dress in a way that shows respect for these sacred space. You didn't do that, did you? Of course not. It's obvious. You posted on your own website. The sense of peace and tranquility that comes from the Buddhist temple is not just in the air, but it is in the clothes you wear. Right here, right? You didn't do your research. Wear long pants. Avoid wearing shorts, trousers, and shirts while visiting a temple. Long pants should be a preference, especially if you are a foreigner or not well accustomed to the preachings of Buddha yet. It doesn't matter if we're overseas, which I've been there many, many times to Asia, many times. And I had to respect how I dressed when I went there. You didn't respect when you went down there to that temple. You didn't even bother to find out. But that gentleman that was next to you, he should have your position. And he should have told you that he's not going to be in the car with you if he brought you there, unless you go home and change. You live in Ceres. That place wasn't 30 miles away. It didn't matter if it was. You should have presented yourself. This affects the city. Your presence, you're supposed to be up high and show us what to do the right way. You don't represent us sometimes at all. You know, wearing certain clothes, I know they cost money. You get $750 or more a month. That's $9,000 a year. I've seen you dressed up and you look great, but you didn't bother to do that at the temple. You've affected me, my wife's friends, and other people in the Laotian community. I hope you've learned something tonight. Have respect. And I know one thing you don't like to do, Mr. Lopez, you don't like to apologize for nothing. And I think a lot of people here that you work with know that. You need to publish a personal apology to that Watt and to the people of our city. Am I pissed? Oh, hell yes. Because this is just activity you've done before in a different form. But when it affects my family and my friends, then it's gone too far. I hope people behind me know what I'm talking about. Respect is respect. And if you can't give it, you need to walk out the door and never come back again. Thank you.
Thank you, Versier. Next person, please.
Good evening, City Council members. John Warren, Ceres resident. I would just like to remind the council and the city that May is a kind of a special month for veterans and members of the VFW and the American Legion, and those veterans that aren't a member of any particular organization, but they have just served their country. 80 years ago this month, the war in Europe ended on May the 7th. World War II. Most of those veterans are past, but we still need to remember them, and we will do that on May the 26th, Memorial Day, which is rapidly approaching. On May the 24th, at the Ceres Cemetery, about 7 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be posting the American flags, about 100 of them, all around the cemetery. And these are the big flags, like the one up behind you at the podium. They're not the little ones. The little ones will be placed on every gravestone or grave marker of a veteran that is in that park. And then the ceremony will be on May 26th at 10 a.m. in the morning. And everyone is invited, especially the volunteers that hopefully will come and help us post those flags, and then retrieve those flags at about 4:30 in the afternoon on Memorial Day, the 26th. So we need some help doing that, but we also need attendance that's paramount to come out and say thank you to our military veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Anybody else? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom, but we did receive an email.
Go ahead.
The email is from Alvaro Franco. It reads, Dear City Council, this letter is a plea to return to the Tuolumne River Regional Park Citizens Advisory Group. At the Ceres Street Fair, I ran into Brandy Meyer, Chamber of Commerce President and former citizen advisor to the Tuolumne River Regional Park Commission. As it is becoming customary, I thanked Meyer for everything she has done and continues to do for Ceres because her volunteer work touches almost all facets of this community. I let her know that I was disappointed that our council chose to withdraw from the advisory group and hope they have a change of heart. She then explained that if Ceres returns and pays a negotiated amount, they would include Ceres as part of the envisioned river walk along Tuolumne River. Since inauguration, I used to walk Lower River Bluff all alone with the park to myself, but now it's clear the park has become a beacon for recreational activity for runners, bikers, anglers, kayakers, bird watchers, nature lovers, and aviation enthusiasts, among others. Please consider a future where this regional park is the heart of this community for all those trying to avoid gangs and drugs by remaining in recreation, as well as those trying to escape the heat island effect in the incoming summers. I understand the council withdrew from the advisory group because the group demanded an exorbitant amount in return for practically nothing. If I am not mistaken, the circumstances have changed and now they may have something to offer in return. I do believe Ceres residents are behind you in remaining outside of the group if we gain nothing. But at the very least, Ceres residents deserve an update on the matter or to hear the vision that each of our council members have for the future of the park, or alleviating the heat island effect, which several of us are concerned about and have written about in the Ceres newspaper. Thank you for your good intentions and everything you do for this city. Alvaro Franco.
Thank you very much. Citizens communication is now closed. Moving on. Is there any conflict of interest from the council? Seeing none. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be acted upon by a roll call vote. Is there anybody here who would like to pull an item? Go ahead, Mr. Casey.
4 and 5.
Go ahead, council member.
Item number 8, please.
Rosalinda, anything? I will now go to the public. Anybody in the public that would like to pull an item? Number 10 is not on the consent calendar, but it'll follow right afterwards. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, I bring this item back for a motion.
Make a motion to approve items 1 through 3, 6, 7, and 9 of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Aye.
Councilmember Otero,
Just, did Councilmember Casey pull number 1 or?
No, just 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
4,
Okay.
5, and 8.
Aye.
Mayor Lopez. I'm
Yes.
Sorry, Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, bring this item back for number 4. Was that you, Mr. Casey?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple council meetings, maybe 3 or 4 ago, we had the same kind of issue come up. We're asking to adopt a project for the fiscal year 2025-26. It's funded by SBU number 1 for road repair and accountability. We haven't yet approved our budget for 2025-26. So it's, in my layman terms, I don't understand how we can approve listing projects for something for the fiscal year that we haven't approved the budget for. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Beltran, if you could please answer that question in regards to the item.
Thank you for your question, council member. So the Accountability Act under SB1 actually requires that cities adopt a project list for the upcoming budget year. This actually does not appropriate any funds. It does state that we will be receiving approximately $1.317 million in fiscal year 25-26. So by the actual law, though, we have to either place new projects on the list or we have to relist current projects that are already on the list. So we have done that in accordance with the Senate Bill 1 law. And this actual resolution is due to the state no later than July 1st of this year. So that is what this list is doing. Then when we bring the budget will actually have the appropriation of the $1.317 million in it. So this doesn't appropriate the funds, this just sets the project list.
So what you're appropriating the funds for this SB1 and to have it, well, you know, our budget's due July 1st too. So hypothetically, if you, in our project, we've projected to spend $500,000 on a certain something, and that certain something only costs $200,000 or it costs $700,000. How do we handle the extra money or the money that we need more than we projected?
So in the case of extra money, we would come back to council and ask for appropriation from a fund such as Measure L. We could also apply for grant funding through CMAQ or HSIP or STVG. So there's different ways that we could handle something that's going to cost us additional money. If there is something that costs us less money, then in that case, there are multiple projects that are listed on the SB1 list. And that Senate bill actually allows us to transfer those monies, obviously with council's permission, to another project that may need some additional funds. The projects that are listed right now, especially, Whitmore Avenue and Crow's Landing projects, both of those projects, we're actually not only listing SB1 money to them, but we will also be applying for grant funding for those also. So at this point, those projects are, I would say, generally underfunded. And as we approach into the new grant season that we're in, we will be asking for those funds. So we will, and everything will be brought to council. If there's something that I need to, if I need Measure L funds, I come to council and I'll ask for those funds to be appropriated. If we need to move these funds around, we will ask council to actually move those funds to a separate project. The only thing with the SB1 funds is that the SB1 funds have to be used on a project that is listed on the list. So that's the way that we go about looking at the SB1 projects.
Thank you.
We'll now go, any council members have any questions? Any members of the public? Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
I bring this item back for motion. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Mr. Beltran, I just wanted to clarify, when do these, I guess, is there a certain date that these funds have to be accepted by?
So they don't necessarily need to be accepted. Essentially is what happens is the state puts out a projection of what they believe that each city will get. Generally speaking, they're pretty accurate projections. And then the state, I don't know if they do it quarterly, if they do it monthly, essentially sends us an SB1 check.
And the reason why I'm asking is because I just want to make sure with these projects, there was public outreach. And I don't know, I think I recall some of them maybe being on previous agendas, but I don't know that all of them were. So I know that you're the expert and you're going to see throughout our city where projects are needed, but I wasn't sure if the public was also aware and has been able to give their input. And I say that because in the resolutions, or part of the resolution, it states that SB1 includes accountability and transparency provisions that will ensure the residents of our city are aware of the projects proposed. Additionally, there's another resolution that says the city has undergone a robust public process to ensure public input into our community's transportation priorities / the project list. So for me, it's important if we are resolving something and ordering this, that there has been public outreach.
So as far as public outreach is concerned, it is only when we present the projects at council. There hasn't been additional public outreach. For instance, on grant-funded projects, which both of these will turn into some grant funding, they do require outreach, and we will outreach to different entities as needed. For instance, on the Crow's Landing project, most of that is a commercial or industrial corridor. So for instance, G3 knows the project, we're coordinating with them. Same thing on Whitmore. Whitmore, we're actually coordinating with G3. We're coordinating with the businesses that are proposing to go in or have started going into the east of Malik. So while public outreach doesn't necessarily formally happen, it does happen through the project. And it does happen at the council meetings, and anybody can obviously comment on those when they come up. We're always happy to answer any questions that people have. And then before the project actually starts construction, there's additional outreach that happens because construction unfortunately is inconvenient and will affect businesses. And we want to make sure that we're trying to accommodate those businesses as best as possible.
Thank you. I just want to ensure that the projects are in line with the strategic plan, which does need an update still. So thank you.
Thank you. Waiting for a motion. Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve item 4 of the consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey.
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira.
Aye.
Councilmember Otero.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Martinez.
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item number 5. This is also yours, Mr. Casey.
I didn't recognize this at the beginning of the year. Otherwise, I would have asked the council referral to change the date to the 27th. It's imperative that we finish this fiscal year responsible, and that we prepare for the 2025-26 fiscal year. And what happens now is that we cancel this meeting in May. We'll have 2 meetings in June. It'll come before the council to approve the budget, and it'll be 577 pages. We haven't seen anything about it. And so we could possibly, depending on the other council people, we could possibly not approve the budget. So I think it's imperative that we have the meeting on May the 27th to continue. If nothing else, bring up on the agenda, have the budget there. That's what I got to say. That's why I pulled it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Serena, council member.
I agree with Mr. Casey. I'm not sure if we can change that meeting date to the day after. I'm actually concerned as well that we don't have enough dates ahead of when the budget's going to come before us, and having the public available and attending possibly a public workshop is going to be important, and we're running out of time to do that.
Council member Guerra.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for pulling this, Casey. I agree that we do, especially if there's work to be done in series, I don't want it to be delayed until the next meeting in June when we have so many other things as well. So I am happy to attend a Tuesday meeting so the work can be done that needs to be done for the city of Ceres and the residents and the citizens here as well as staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? We'll take this item to the public. Any members of the public would like to make a comment on this item? Mr. Ward?
Thank you, council members. John Warren, City of Ceres. I feel from the public's point of view, we're rapidly approaching a new budget, and those of us out here haven't heard anything at all about where we are in that process. And eliminating one meeting in May is going to make it that much more difficult going into June, because maybe there's only one meeting in June. And this month and June are especially busy months with high school graduations, grammar school graduations, people starting on vacations and such. So the general public is not going to have a lot of input as to what our city budget might be. Unfortunately, not a lot of the public does pay attention, maybe until after the fact, and that's a sad thing in itself. But I do believe that the council should give itself an opportunity to discuss these items as much as possible. Later on in the year, approaching the holidays, meetings are canceled, and that does stymie the ability of the city to finish doing the city's work in the months of November and December, because meetings are canceled at those times of the year. And I would go further to suggest that someone try to remember in January or December to look ahead in 2026 and see if there are any conflicts such as what's happening today. I think we're all a little remiss in not bringing it up sooner. And so hopefully the council will go ahead and hold that meeting on the 27th or the 28th, whichever is convenient for you folks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Dave Pratt of Ceres. I know whenever you cancel a meeting, you wind up posting later for the next day. Are you going to hold this meeting May 27th? And if you are, why don't, when you write this, that you're canceling the meeting for the 26th and holding the meeting May the 27th, so everybody knows that you are doing that? Because a lot of times when I go online, you cancel the day, but later on it's posted for the next day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Bring this item back for motion. Whatever the council desires. Mr. Casey, you pulled it.
Make a motion to not approve item number 5. Is that correct?
Councilmember Casey's motion would include not approving the agenda item, which in effect would mean that we will schedule a replacement meeting essentially. And I'll defer to the city manager on that, but denying this would essentially nullify the request. So typically what happens is then staff would move forward with scheduling a special meeting the next day. So we can work that into the motion as well.
Is that your motion, Mr. Casey?
Sure. I make a motion that we cancel the meeting for May 26th and schedule it for May 27th.
That's the motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
I'm happy to second that.
Can we get a roll call, please? That makes sense?
Yeah. If I may suggest that staff go back to look at what date the special meeting will be set. With it being a holiday week, there's oftentimes that staff does take an extra day or two off. So I caution you on scheduling a special meeting on, say, the 27th, if a large amount of our department head may be out on vacation. So if maybe staff could go back, look at the calendar, look at time off, and come back with a special meeting date.
I wouldn't be supportive of that. I'm actually out the rest of that week and the following week. Actually, I'll be out of state on that second week, the first week of June. So I would not be supportive of it being on the days that I'm out of state.
I'm suggesting a special meeting, I'm sorry, on the same week as Memorial Day, but maybe
Correct.
just not on.
But I'm also out of town. That I'm down in Southern California.
Gotcha.
So that's where I would not be supportive of moving it outside of that Tuesday, because again, I'm going out of state and then I'm not back until the next council meeting.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Aye.
Councilmember Otero,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
No.
Motion carries 5-0.
I said no.
Motion carries 4-1.
Item number 8. Who pulled item number 8?
I pulled
Sure.
item number 8.
For it.
Let's see. So this question is for Mr. Beltran. It looks like in the staff report, the staff's recommending a resolution approving the master service agreement with 3 different companies to provide city surveyor services. I just wanted to get clarification on that. Is all 3 companies going to be used just in case one's not available, or are they all 3 being used at the same time? Because I feel like the cost is going to be different if it's all 3 of them.
Thank you for your question, council member. So with City Surveyor Services, all 3 of these firms do actually quite a bit of business, private business within the city of Ceres. So just as an example, if GDR is doing a parcel map for a local client, GDR would not be able to serve as the city surveyor in review of that parcel map. So in that case, we would either go to Sandus or to Mid-Valley Engineering, and one of them would perform city surveyor services. And then vice versa. If Sandus was doing something, we could go to GDR or Mid-Valley. So that's the reason we keep 3 of them essentially on a list, so that we can kind of look at, who's best suited. Maybe somebody has a conflict. We want to make sure that we stay out of those conflict situations. And so that's why we carry 3 different services. Generally, their prices are going to be about the same for similar services. They will vary. Their hourly rates are a little bit different, but for the most part, they will be generally in the same price range as each other.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Did I already take this out to the public? Public, any comments or questions? Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Bring this item back for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 8 of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Aye.
Councilmember Otero,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to item number 10. Just wanted to note that there is a correction on the attachment. It is B for item 10. And the updated copy of green sheet has been placed on the agenda binder. Item number 10, approving a 3-year agreement with Sirius Youth Baseball for the use of Costa Field Baseball Complex and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement. I believe we have Joseph Chavez will be speaking on the item, and then afterwards. So Doug's going to do the presentation, actually. Go ahead, sir.
So staff recommends the city council approve a 3-year agreement with Ceres Youth Baseball, also known as CYB, and the city of Ceres for the use of Costa Fields baseball complex, and authorize the city manager to execute said agreement. So there's been a lot of talk about how this was funded and various discussions about ARPA funds. So I'm going to go over a brief history of the ARPA funds, or American Rescue Plan Act, second installment. So looking at the timeline, originally March 11th, 2021, Congress passed the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA. In June 21, the city received a notification that they're going to receive a total of $11,600,000 in ARPA. July 1st, 2021, they received their first payment. July of 2022, the second installment was received in the amount of $5.8 million. And the important number here to understand is December 31st, 2024, all funds had to be encumbered. So just go over encumbering. Encumbered funds means the recipient has taken on an obligation by a certain date, and that certain date had to be before December 31st of 2024. So staff inquired what the council wanted to do with the next phase of ARPA. And the council spoke with a number of staff members and made suggestions to council members. So June 26, 2023, at the council meeting, staff provided an ARPA update and new projects were presented. At that council meeting, council member Martinez requested that a minimum of $50,000 be set aside for Costa Fields improvements. There was much debate and discussion going on throughout the whole council meeting, and it ended up that the Costa Fields improvement was set at $200,000. On the next page, you see the projects that were selected that day and where the money was supposed to be going to. And down 3/4 of the way down, you'll see Costa Fields upgrade at $200,000. So out of all those projects, some did not get ARPA funded. Some of those were the regulatory and user fee update, ARPA funding was pulled. Impact fee study, ARPA fund was pulled. Compensation class study, not done. Uninterrupted power supply at the police department, other funding was done. Fitness for life, that was canceled, not used. And contract with the Chamber of Commerce, no contract was ever made with the Chamber of Commerce. So some of the projects had partial funding that was removed from them. One was a Whitmore gazebo, and approximately $95,000. And Costa Fields improvements, there were approximately $112,000 was removed. September 2024, staff needed to obligate, we found out, approximately $624,424. On October of 2024, staff was asked if they had any suggestions for the council. At that time, Finance Department started calling different department heads to have any suggestions and prepared those for the presentation on the November 12th, 2024 council meeting. At that meeting, there was a lot of discussion going on what we were going to do and move, what funds we were going to move, and what projects were important at that time. Grid pruning was there, emergency tree removal, police dispatch, utility billing, ADA, and cubicles. Tyler implementations, defibrillators, first aid kits, Tyler implementation payroll, and a sell-up. And that basically was using up our $624,000. Also, at the November 12th meeting, City Council adopted a resolution number 2024-146, authorizing city manager to enter into agreements, contracts, MOUs, or purchase orders to ensure that the obligation of funds prior to December 31st, 2024 was complete. Early December 2024, staff was notified that previous ARPA funds from the 2022 funding for some personnel costs was not allowed and thus had to be paid through the general fund. So more money came in for ARPA. Projects were completed under budget, so ARPA started seeing an increase. Staff was seeing a flow of ARPA funding coming in back to the city, and staff was notified by various members of the city council for probably 2 months between November and December that the flooring in the city hall should be replaced and get rid of the carpet because it was atrocious. Late December and basically right around December 20th, the ARPA projects coming in under budget, staff had a surplus of ARPA, and we had two options. One of those options was return the unspent funds to the state or add additional monies to the existing projects that council had approved on November 12th. All projects were fully funded except the expansion of the ADA upgrades to the finance department. City Hall was not an ADA compliant, and therefore staff moved the extra funding into the ADA upgrades for finance and City Hall. Some of the ARPA funding will still be returned to the state because we did not use everything. At no time did the city give money to CYB, so we did not take any money from CYB. We did what cities did, and we assigned funds for ARPA to various projects, and we moved that funds around at the request of the council to make those projects more effective or what was important at the city at the time. Any questions regarding the PowerPoint?
Any, well, actually, what I got to do now is we'll start off with public comment. So public comment is now open. Any members of the public are welcome to come up to this podium and ask any questions or make any comments. And please introduce yourself when you get there.
So this comment is only about the ARPA funds, correct? We're not going to start talking about the contract yet.
No, we are.
This is strictly
about the presentation I did about ARPA.
About the presentation. I'm just going to make comments about the presentation. I don't want my 5 minutes to run if I have to make another comment about the contract.
A point of order, Mayor Lopez. This agenda item states that it's about the CYB contract. The presentation included information about ARPA funding as a source, but now as a public agenda item, the public can comment about the staff report, the proposed agreement, or the presentation.
You can comment on all three.
Okay. So in regards to the ARPA funds, we were told that they were allocated January 22nd, 2024. We were present here. And later on, we didn't have the estimate or the quote for the replacement of those lights in place. Everything that we got was over the budget, the $112,000. There was a article on the Series Courier. A company reached out to me, an electrical company reached out to me to give us a quote, which was under the budget. Mr. Martinez was present there the day that they gave me that budget, that quote. And we presented it to the city March 11. I sent it to Joey, and I was told that that was going to be done. Now I'm finding out that it was not done because supposedly it was not prevailing wages. It was prevailing wages because they knew the city was going to pay for it. So unfortunately, there has been a lot of miscommunication, or I call lies, since the moment I started having issues with Mr. Martinez on a personal matter. I was present with at the city manager office, and I told him what he had warned me that was going to happen. I have witnesses here who witnessed that issue. He got a heated argument. If he needs me to bring a Modesto police officer that went to see the argument because he got pretty heated, I will bring him. Because he warned me. He told me that everything that was being done with CYB, I was going to go through the city manager. The very same day, I received a message from Joey letting me know that Mr. Martinez had called him to request the bylaws for CYB when it was a personal matter. It was a Sunday in the evening. Mr. Lopez or Joey doesn't work on Sundays, correct? So he was bothered on his day off to get a request from this council member because of a personal matter. It was everything personal. So unfortunately, because of all those lies and other situations that have occurred that you're aware of, that I send you an email, I send an email to everybody about those lies that Mr. Martinez had made, we're in this situation. May 29 last year, we met with Joey and was at the fields to let us know that everything had been frozen. And now I see that it happened until November, that there was no more money for the lights. There was no more money for anything on the fields. And I offered them, I still in a good faith, we offered them to trim some trees, to do some work on the fields that needed to be done, but the city had no money. And we offered it and we did it. And now I'm finding out that this happened until the end of the year when the money was there, the project was there ready to be done. I feel that we're beating a dead horse. I just want to move forward. We want to move past this. And in regards to the contract, there are a couple of things that we don't agree with. One on page 6, it says that in regards to the indemnity, it says, including acts of negligence of the city, that we shall indemnify, defend, and hold harmless the city, including acts of negligence of the city. So we wouldn't agree with that. And then we, like I stated in the last meeting that was here, we need to add something. If we make a violation, we could get fined or contract could be ended. What about when the city makes a mistake? What about when a council member interferes with this? So we want to add on the contract or stipulate it somewhere that the lights on Field 3 will be done by the end of the year. Otherwise, the amount of money that we will be paying is reduced or taken back to the way it is right now, because we cannot continue with this. Like I said, Mr. Martinez warned me. We have text messages. He wants to see receipts. You guys want to see receipts? We have text messages, emails, documentation, witnesses about him warning me and threatening me to do this to us. So if he wants to see the receipts and continue with this situation, we will continue with this situation. If we want to move past this situation, let's add something on the item that it's going to be helpful for Ceres and for the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, can I respond to him?
Go ahead, sir.
So, George, as far as the frozen funds, it did not account for ARPA funds. It was for general funds, because we have to meet our budget. And so that was what that was regarding back in March. Even though, I mean, your bid came in at 70,000, because it's over 60,000, we have to get it, actually 25. But per Public Works rules and stuff, it has anything over 60,000, we have to get 3 bids. So that, we couldn't have got that. I only saw 1 originally and then 2 recently.
I can
Come on up to the
allow you
mic
to
real
come up.
quick.
Just go ahead. You're fine.
So I gave 3 bids, one for Collins, another one, I don't remember the name of the company. I can send them to you. Again, it's passed. Let's move forward. But there were 3 bids.
Who'd you
One
give
for
it to?
120, 110, and 70-some thousand.
Who'd
Right?
you give
I
it
had
to?
3 different quotes. I had 3 different quotes that I had presented. One at the beginning, a couple at the beginning of the process back in November, December 2023, and we were like, okay, we're not gonna get it done. Once the article came up, that company reached out to me, and I met them, and they gave me that other one for 74. So I didn't present them the 3 at the same time, but I had given 2 early on, and then 1 for 74.
Who did you give the contracts to? Or the bids?
Joey. I
Gave one to me when I was out, but I was out for at least 8 weeks and Katie was filling in for me.
Oh, okay, so I gave it to the city then, or the person that was filling in for him. Yeah. So again, we're past it. There were 3 quotes. One from Collins Electric, another company, I can't remember the name, Industrial Electric, I think it is, and L4 Electric. Again, we're past it. Both of them were 120 some thousand, and the other one was for 78. Mr. Martinez was there at the field when they presented the quote to me, and we were like, really? And they're like, yeah, we can do it. All right. So let's get it done. But again, didn't get done. It's over. Now I hear that there is some money available, that there's a possibility to get it done by the end of the year. That's why we want to put it on the contract. Like, I feel that we're getting bluffed, honestly, because it's been 18 months or more since we heard that this was going to be done. Let's just put it on the contract and move forward, get it done. We want to continue working here, continue doing the stuff for the city. So let's just move forward.
So, Mr. Mayor, we are in talks with TID for a grant to put in lighting. We're shooting for hopefully all 3 fields, but a minimum of field numbers, or all 3 Costa fields, targeting at least field number 3. But we have not got those hard numbers yet, but that's what we're planning on doing. If we get the bid or get the money from TID, we have to use it by the end of the year. So on that part, George would be correct, but if it doesn't come through, then we're not going to put that in we're not putting in a contract that we have to get it done, because I don't know if we have the other funds right now to do it. We're right in the middle of budget.
Nubia, jump in here. Does it make sense to put that in the contract, or is it, because we won't, obviously, if TID is willing to talk to us about money, put it in there, even though in good faith. I don't want.
We have a
that makes
couple of
sense.
issues. Inclusion of what happens in the event that there isn't grant funds triggers a budgetary item that's not before you tonight and would have to be approved in conjunction with the contract. So it gets a little tricky. So what I'm sensing is we probably need to speak further with CYB representatives to maybe address some of those concerns. We can do it from the dais. We'll just walk through every single revision and the council can make changes to the contract, but it may be worth evaluating additional language. So that's one option. If the council wants to move forward with the contract tonight, then we need to know specifically what would be included, but you can't take action tonight to commit funds in the event you don't get those grant funds. At least you can't do that tonight. And I think to Councilmember Casey's point, at a previous agenda item, the budget isn't before you today for 25-26.
So, question, we wouldn't be able to remove that, including acts of negligence of the city? I don't understand that portion, why we would be responsible if it's a negligence on the city.
Nubia, can you please explain that?
Sure. So typically the agreement language that was included in here is standard language. Again, I believe these are items for discussion and negotiation that would ideally have happened before the meeting, but we're more than happy to work through staff or whoever's been negotiating those terms with CYB. But again, the council can make changes to the agreement if you wish, depending on what you would like to accomplish.
I think what he's asking is, what does that mean for them?
It means that they're carrying the full responsibility for their activities and what happens on behalf of the organization and anyone involved with it at any of their events. So in essence, they're taking on the full responsibility pursuant to the terms of the contract. I can't tell you, I would assume, I don't want to assume, whether that language had been included in previous versions, but that's—
I was going to ask
that's typical standard language, because again, they're taking on the role of carrying on a specific activity, including all of the potential hazards associated with it. And it's my understanding that they host and they carry out all those responsibilities without much city staff involvement. So I don't know that actually at a practical implication would really trigger any
How do you,
type
how
of.
do you guys operate when it comes to like issues that happen on site? It's
So if it's something that is related to us, we take care of it.
Okay.
My question and concern on that is that it says a negligence of this on behalf of the city. Like, if the city is aware that something needs to be done and that causes an accident, it causes somebody to get hurt or whatever, why would we be responsible if we are notifying the city, hey, this needs to be done? If we don't notify you and it's a negligence, I get it. We understand that it's a responsibility. Based on my background on the profession that I do for a living, I understand that in regards to the insurance and liability terms and all that stuff. So that's why that warning came up to my attention, that why would we be assuming the responsibility if it's negligence on behalf of the city? You know, that's
is that what we're saying, or are we saying more of if it's responsible, they're responsible for
They're
when
responsible.
they're
They're responsible for
there.
anything and everything that happens essentially at their events. And that would include city staff involvement, including potential acts of negligence because it's being done at their behest and at their request. And so for purposes of insurance, that's the standard provision that you'd ask the entity that's carrying out the event to cover the city entirely. And that's pretty standard. Again, things can be changed, but that is the city's standard requirement.
Isn't that the standard contract for, like, we use it for the music fest and everything? It's their full responsibility.
Yeah, pretty sure. Again, because if that party had not taken the steps to have that event at all, there wouldn't be something that could trigger the insurance requirement.
So I guess, George, what you're really asking is that if it's something that it's like the city building, that's
exactly,
you don't want to be responsible for that. But
Exactly.
in general,
Yeah.
like she's saying, I think that's
It's only really for the activities at the field. It's not for anything else because their activities are limited to the field.
So I guess if that makes sense, it's more of what she's saying.
so. So for example, if one like we had this situation that something failed with the bleachers,
Right.
And we had known about it and we had notified the city. At that moment, it's not our responsibility anymore. If we don't do it, then it is a responsibility, right? That should be the case.
That sounds like the case.
In a legal situation, you know? But if it's something that the city is aware and should have taken care of, and it, for whatever reason, the city doesn't take care of it, that's my concern.
That makes sense.
On everything else, like for example, yesterday a kid sliding into a base, he got hurt. Neither CYB, the city is responsible. It's the team insurance because it was a play during the game, you know. But if a gate falls and we've told you, hey, that gate needs to be fixed, and it doesn't get fixed and hurt somebody, then it should not be CYB responsibility when the city is being negligent in regards to repairing it. That's the feeling that I have.
So for purposes of the indemnity, it would be limited only to services or activities, not facilities.
Okay,
Makes
all
sense.
right.
Okay.
So that helps clarify because that's city property. And so the city does maintain it. Otherwise, the city would have to transfer the maintenance and ownership obligations to another party, which is not, that would not be the case. So this is only related to services or activities and not the facility.
That makes sense.
And so
Okay.
that's why I said usually in these types of situations, we're talking about the activity that's going on and the interactions amongst the people there, not the facilities.
So I have a question real quick, using George's example. They notify us that the bleacher's bad, and we say, okay, don't use that bleacher because we haven't got a timeline to get somebody in there to fix it, don't use it. But they still use it and somebody gets injured.
Arguably, that would be outside of the city's coverage because it's a known defect. And so basically you proceed at your own risk. And typically what the city would do in those situations is mark it and either put signs or put cones or tape to indicate, do not use. So this is a very extensive insurance law that I don't necessarily know that makes sense to go through for purposes of the contract. But again, if the council wishes to make changes to the standard language, we can. Or alternatively, we can work with staff to address CYB's concern and bring it back.
Is there any other questions on the?
No, that makes sense in regards to providing the service. I understand that. I know that we're responsible for the service that we're providing. It was more in regards to the actual facility, the buildings, the bleachers, things like that belong to the city.
And thank you for that trigger, because that reminds me, the exception to that are the batting cages. They are taking on the full responsibility of maintaining the batting cages, which were constructed for their benefit. So as part of this agreement, they actually are taking on full responsibility for the facility of the batting cages and any activities that happen within it. So that might be the one exception.
You guys have been
I want to
doing
make sure
that.
that they're aware
That is
of that.
correct.
Safety procedures and all that stuff.
Yeah, that is correct. We assume responsibility for it. Our teams have insurance. The teams that use it are or travel teams or competitive teams, and all of them carry insurance. So we understand that.
So Mayor Lopez, just to add on his, when there is a problem like with the sprinklers or anything with the facility like doors, air conditioner, George usually sends me a text on the weekend. We come in on Monday and put that work order into to the park supervisor, to facility supervisor, so they can take care of them. They're usually right on it real quick with it. And George, he lets us know when it's completed.
Okay. That was good, George. If we have any other questions, we'll have you come back up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to make a comment on this agreement, contract? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
We do have a hand raised on Zoom. Jake, you're allowed to speak.
Good evening, members of the council, Mayor Lopez. This is Jake Torres with Alliance Building Solutions. Our firm had the energy efficiency project that was continued at the last council meeting. We wanted to note amidst of this item that a large focus on this project was going to be the full interior and LED lighting retrofit, specifically at George Costa Fields. This was going to be including not only interior and exterior LED lighting, but also solar shaded parking for local community and residents. The nice dynamic about this project is that the funding source for these lighting upgrades doesn't require ARPA funds, it does not require budget dollars, and it also doesn't require waiting on any specific rebates that might have various stringent requirements and timelines associated with them. Our hope is that we can have our project continue to the next upcoming council meeting, so that we can have the opportunity for a potential consideration of this project, so we can address all the various lighting needs that have been communicated here today. Specifically with the installation, this project will include prevailing wage, and through a design build approach, we could also include local contractors or any local labor specifically for the lighting install. Once we're to the point that if we're fortunate enough to receive approval from the council, the installation for the lighting can start as soon as 4 to 6 weeks from approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Mayor, one point of clarification on that comment is that there actually will be budgetary impacts and consideration for the council as part of that agenda item. So I don't want you to think that it's free. It is something that will be coming to the council, but that's a different item for a different day.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. If there's no other online comments, we'll bring this item back to council. And I'll start off with Councilmember Vieira. What was that? I'm sorry. Can you please speak into? Oh, that's fine. Councilmember Otero, she wants you to go first.
So in regards to the presentation, thank you, Doug, for sharing that. And again, not to keep bringing up the issue, but going forward, I just want to use this ARPA funding, all the concerns and the way the funding was dispersed, the way funds were allocated and then moved to another project, that there's more communication and there's more sharing of information. Because as I said before, I do believe the public was misled, possibly the council. I was not on here at the time. When I looked back at that, the agenda from January 22nd, The lights were not on here. However, there was still other projects that were recommended by staff and the council had approved. So one of those being the upgrading restroom faucets and soap dispensers that I believe was not completed. Correct, Joey?
Correct.
Okay. So when I read this contract, the city will maintain the complex outside of the day-to-day activities that CYB is having there. I just want to make sure that these projects are timely and that we are listening to CYB when they bring up concerns. This program is a great program for our city, and I would hate for it to be ruined by lack of communication or lack of leadership. So if we can just all work together going forward, it would be appreciated.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you, Mayor. I kind of want to start out with like the repair timeline. Thank you, Joey. I think you kind of answered my questions on that because I know that was one of their concerns was the timeliness and adding that to the contract. But I also know how slow government is. In all respect, just trying to get it onto the next council meeting just to get it approved. But I think that was kind of my question was the timeline. And if that was what you wanted, George, what kind of timeline is reasonable for a lot of these projects? Because I know some of these projects are going to take some time. Even getting bleachers, I don't see that being fixed overnight. I just see how long it takes just to get our lights synced in the city for traffic. I just don't see things happening very quickly. But I don't know if that's what you were looking for in the contract, a certain timeline, or what would even be reasonable when it comes to doing something like that. Because I'm assuming that would be similar to like a lockout, tag out kind of thing when it comes to preventative maintenance. And I think that was one of the things he had asked. And then my other question was, how do we handle it at the soccer fields now? Because they have a similar contract, they have similar situations. And I'm just kind of curious to see if that, what our contract with them, and it hasn't come before the council, so I haven't seen it. And if their issues are about the same, are we going to be updating? And are the responsibilities kind of about the same when it comes to them, or what we're doing and how we handle, even when he talked about the indemnity, because I know as a contractor and a small business owner, I have to provide the same proof of insurance, the same comment on the bottom of my insurance. When I submitted it to Joey just to have an event at a park, I had to submit my same insurance for my business, and I had to do the same indemnity. So I'm aware of that because it's standard for almost all my events that I have at various organizations and different buildings throughout, the county. So I'm familiar with the contract law when it comes to doing that as an event party and planner. But I understand that part of it, but I think I just want to make sure we're kind of doing the same thing. And I think you kind of clarified my questions on that, just kind of how are we handling in other situations, making sure we're just kind of treating everyone the same and not singling out any group over another group.
So with the CYSO Series U soccer, it's mainly the turf issue we deal with. So we do have a preventive maintenance plan we do with that. I think our major issue, and Sam does a great job with his staff, is the restrooms there at River Bluff. They're always getting plugged. They're always, so staff is really on it. Lou contacts me. It's on the weekend. I answer my phone. We try to get, if we can hold off on it, but if it's an emergency, we have to call a private company to come out to snake it, or we try to snake it ourselves. But it's the same process with them. And even with CYB, I think their main issues at CYB is, if there's gates or air conditioning, staff, Sam's facility staff is excellent. They're right on it the next day. But if it needs to be attended on the weekend, we'll call the on-call guy. But I get Sam's approval. If we can get through the weekend, we can get through it. And that's the first thing we do is take care of it Monday morning.
Okay, perfect. I think those are the questions I kind of gathered that I had from what he had mentioned about the contract. And then the other thing was just making sure we get all the grammatical part of it fixed in the contract since it is a legal document. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had two questions for City Manager. Jake, just spoke about the solar project. Do we know if that's coming back anytime soon, since that's something that could fix the slight issue?
It'll be possibly coming back to the council. I'm in talks with our city attorney right now of what our next steps are.
Okay. And then I know you briefly touched on the TID grants. I know Monica, I believe her last name is Hampton, just did the lights, the entire facility at Pedretti for the city of Turlock. And you said you've been in contact. Could you maybe go a little bit more into detail on that for us?
Her Monique Hampton is who we contacted, and they were running a solar or energy savings project. It ended a couple months ago, but she said they still have some money left over, but they have to spend it. Similar to what we had to do is they have to spend it by December 31st of this year. So she's talking with the general manager now to see if they can help fund it and see what they can do to help move this project forward.
Thank you, sir.
Daniel, I was on that call when we all met with her. The one thing is they did, like she said, the project ended because they had talked about it when we were in the community advisory group that I was with last year. So she had talked about it, but they're looking at other projects now that the city's also, I'm looking at Beltran and he's not making eye contact. So he's working with her because she did ask for updated bids just to confirm all the 3 bids that are required and also to make sure they're legally compliant with the requirements that they need with prevailing wage and other things that she needed to submit to the TID general manager to get approval. So Beltran and I know Doug are working on that. At that point, I've stepped out of the conversation just because I knew her from the community advisory when we had the meeting to training I was in last year. So they're working on trying to get her what she needs to try to get that approved. But again, that's going to come to council because we have to approve all grants that come in. And then I think ideally, just me speaking, I would want to see that before we approve any other solar lights for that same exact lighting project. So I think timing is going to be kind of key in these conversations. But again, I want to see all those numbers when they come in, the current bids with the current rate of inflation and cost of living and all of the other things that have come in the last year since we've had this last discussion and the other quotes came in. So I do know that's where it was when I left the Zoom call. Again, I've stepped away because daily I want to be able to vote and make those decisions. So I'm letting that go into the hands that be with the city. But there are other grants that they're focusing on, and they also have had those discussions. I was on some of that call because I was part of that training that we may be able to work on as well when it comes to reducing some of the costs within the city.
Thank you, Councilmember. Do you think perhaps generating a letter coming from the council and addressing it to TID requesting those funds be granted towards this might be beneficial?
I don't know if that would be a conflict of interest at all, or
How so?
well, because ultimately don't we vote because it is going to affect our bottom line at the bottom, because the financial benefits of it, not necessarily us personally, but we do pay the LLDs, which affects our tax and property taxes, which I think is going to be affecting part of the other conversation that you had mentioned about the solar project, because it seems like it's all kind of tied in. And so I'm just trying to see where, because again, it would have to be agendized before we can even vote on that. And I don't know if that can get agendized and onto a vote soon enough for us to even support a letter like that. Because again, it has to be agendized and voted and the public gets comment on that, on whether they would, I would hope they would support a grant for lights. But again, that's a conversation for the public that, we definitely want to make sure they're part of, but I also want to make sure we're not implying a conflict of interest because that could affect our LLDs as well. And I live in one of the districts that have the higher LLDs.
We'd have to look into it. I'm not seeing a direct conflict and it sounds a bit speculative. And I will say, I think to your point, we may be straying a little far off topic now. But yes, all very good points to bring up. And so it's a good way probably as an example to show that for purposes of tonight, any language change that would lock the city into any type of financial obligation as it relates to the lights in the CYB contract would have to be agendized separately. And we'd have to bring that back because that's not on the agenda for action tonight.
Okay, Councilmember Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We spent a lot of time, this is like the third or fourth time that we had a contract in our packet. We have a green sheet because there were some corrections. I think our city, this is for the kids in series to play baseball. Again, for the life of me, I don't understand why it's so complicated. We have lights that need to be fixed. We have money that we move around in our budget for all kinds of different reasons. I don't understand why it's so complicated. We have young people that want to play baseball and softball, and they build up relationships with each other. and the coaches do a good job. Why it's so difficult, it's beyond me. And so I'm not sure later on, are we going to be voting to approve this contract that's in the green paper that was a correction of the contract that was in our agenda? When I first came onto the city council, I made a remark to Alex, their intern city manager, and I said, thank God that the libraries aren't controlled by the city. How complicated it is, how complicated we're making it for the coaches, for the kids, the unknown stuff. For the life of me, I don't understand. And again, I don't know, are we going to be voting on this green thing? Are we going to be tabling it to have a more discussion? But we owe an obligation to the youth of Ceres and to the hardworking coaches in the program to move on and make it a safe place to live, to play baseball, softball.
We have Serena would like to make one comment, but hold on one second. Mr. Casey, I just want to make sure you're good. Okay. Councilmember?
There was mention of, I think, TID using or funding the project at Pedretti, or there was a project there at Pedretti. What company did they use at Pedretti? Do you know?
I don't know right offhand. No,
Okay.
It's Turlock.
Okay. And then I do have a referral request that kind of goes hand in hand with this pertaining to the lights. Should I wait or just? And
You can wait for the referral process. Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, it's separate but related.
Separate, yeah,
Yeah, let's leave it for referrals.
after. Thank you.
Make a motion to approve item 10 of the consent calendar?
I just want to double check. We did finish with the public, right? Okay. So motion is on the table.
I'm happy to second it.
Get a second. Get a roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Okay, before I vote, I just want to make sure I understand that the item that's in the agenda was corrected, and it's the green piece of paper we're voting on, that I understand there's some corrections in it too. Is that right?
Going to be voting on the green piece of paper with the noted or the corrected spelling and punctuation and grammar in it. Yes. Everything else is standard.
And this light issue is being taken care of, is that it?
Yes, sir.
The-
Okay, then aye.
I'm sorry to interrupt, just a point of clarification. The council approves this green sheeted version of the agreement is as is. The motion is not to make any changes. So the lighting issue is,
No, I think what he's asking is a correction for spelling, not, there's no content being changed is all. And the lights, we said we're not going to make any
there is,
decisions.
the lighting is still an outstanding issue. It's not in this contract. So this contract, the motion is to approve it as is without any changes. I want to make sure.
Then I changed my vote to no.
With or without the grammar? Are we having a manger or a manager?
You'll have a manager.
Okay. With the manager and not a manger, yes, I'm supportive of it.
we'll start the roll call over again. Councilmember Casey? Your vote, Councilmember Casey?
My vote is no.
Councilmember Vieira?
Yes, with the grammar errors.
Councilmember Otero?
Yes, and that's because according to our city attorney, we can't modify this agreement to add any kind of lighting stipulations.
Only because if the modification involves encumbering money for the city before the 25-26 budget has been approved, and also because it hasn't been agendized for a budgetary component. That's the reason why.
Thank you.
George, I will go ahead just because it's been a long. Is it going to be a quick comment?
Yeah. Just in regards to that, I understand that we cannot move anything on that. Can we set something that we're gonna be revisiting? Somebody had asked by when the lights could be
I think
fixed.
was just
Something that
saying,
we're gonna revisit by the end of the year or something like that?
during her referral,
Yeah,
we'll have that discussion. It's just,
Okay,
yeah, we're gonna have that. We can use that because technically you're not supposed to come back up. So
okay,
I
sounds
just
good.
wanted to say that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your patience. Are we still voting? Continue. Is it, we're on Tara? Oh,
It's on me and my answer is yes.
Mayor Lopez.
yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you for everybody's patience and everybody being here today. And we'll continue for another, unless the council members need to use the restroom. We're good? Okay, continuing. On to item number 11. This is adopting the revised resolution, adopting a general plan amendment to repeal 2015-2023 housing element and adopting the 2023-2031 housing element of the general plan in compliance with the state housing element law. Is that you, Nubia?
It is. Thank you, Mayor. I'm putting on my community development hat for the evening. Before you tonight is a recommendation and request by staff for the council to adopt a revised resolution 2025-027. This is a resolution that the council had previously adopted in order to adopt the city's sixth cycle 2023-2031 housing element. If you remember from a few months ago, we presented this to the council. The reason for the request for a revised resolution is that following the council's adoption of the housing element, staff transmitted all the necessary documentation to the Department of Housing and Community Development, who oversees the review and approval and acceptance of the housing element. In late April, they issued a notification to the city noting an error in the resolution that needed to be corrected before HCD could formally approve the housing element. And so based off of our discussions with HCD staff, we have revised the same resolution that the council previously approved in order to include some clarifying findings and some minor errors that they had identified. Specifically, the revised resolution discusses the certain allocations for lower income households that need to be included in the findings. And essentially, the idea is that the city is relying on certain parcels as part of the housing element, and it needs to specifically spell out some very specific language, hence the revision. And if I'm not mistaken, we have included a red line version of the resolution so that you could see exactly where the changes are for your consideration. But aside from that, it doesn't change the housing element draft. It doesn't change the requirements or the obligations of the city pursuant to the housing element. It really just was making sure that we meet HCD's very specific requirements. And it's important for the council to consider and approve this because without the revised resolution, HCD will likely not be approving the housing element. And so it's critical that we get this done basically as soon as possible. So it was a concerted effort with HCD staff to make sure that we provided the council this revised resolution under a more constrained time frame. So with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Okay, we'll open this up to the public. Any members of the public would like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
I bring this item back to the council for comments or a motion. Doesn't look like there's any comments.
Make a motion to approve item number 11.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to public hearing. It looks like this public hearing is being continued to June 9th, 2025. But I'll open it up. I'm just letting everybody know. And we'll go ahead and open this up to the public. If any members of the public would like to make a comment on this item. Seeing none. Zoom.
No hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, bringing this item back. Any comments or questions from the council? Go ahead.
I have a
Councilmember.
question. This item here is, what's the reason it's being moved to another meeting?
Thank you for your question, Councilmember. We are currently in conversations with the Building Industry Association, the BIA, and we want to make sure that we, as they represent the building industry, we want to make sure that all of the fees that developers will be charged for impact fees are in line, and they're in agreement with those also. So it's really just going back and forth and making sure that everybody's in agreement with what our development fees will be in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional comments? Motion? Oh, I take that back. We're actually moving this. I might need a break. Moving on to new business. Resolution number 13, approving the budget amendment to allocate additional funds for legal services for the remainder of the fiscal year 2025. And this is our city manager, Doug.
Mr. Mayor and council members, in the adopted fiscal year 25 budget, the city allocated $219,000 for legal services based on anticipated needs at the time. However, actual expenditures have exceeded the projections, and the original budget amount is no longer sufficient to cover the legal costs for the remainder of the year. Staff is requesting a budget amendment to appropriate additional funds from the general fund to ensure the continued access to legal services through the end of fiscal year 25 and pay outstanding invoices. Approval of this item will increase appropriations in the fiscal year 25 general fund budget by $200,000. Additional appropriations are necessary to pay outstanding legal services or invoices and to fund the anticipated legal services coming forward. This year was a very unusual year. We've had a lot of lawsuits that were coming up and projected the costs out for the legal services that we had. And so that's why the additional money is requested.
Okay, thank you. We'll open this up to the public. Any members of the public have any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
No hands raised on Zoom.
Comments or questions from the council?
How many outstanding do we have outstanding invoices currently?
Yes, ma'am.
And just for the future, is there a way for the council to find out sooner if there's possibly going to be outstanding invoices?
So you'd have to, standing as far as.
Well, if there's a couple months of outstanding, is this something that could have been brought to us a couple months ago? Or passed, yeah.
Well, they're not outstanding at the time. And so they come through, I go through and approve them or disapprove them. And so we were in talks on changing some of them. And then when we finally moved forward with it, that's when we found out that we didn't have the money to cover them.
Okay. And also, have you been able to identify why you mentioned there's more costs possibly because of legal services for lawsuits, things like that? Okay.
Yes. I mean, I met with our city attorney. We had a very nice discussion on what we can do moving forward, and then we bring that back to you later on for next fiscal year.
Thank you.
Doug, how much is owed to the city attorney's office?
Right now, $100,000.
Have we had a discussion on how we can slowly pay that back? Or would you be cutting $100,000 check?
Well, we'll be paying the invoices. Each invoice is going to be separate, so it won't be a $100,000 check.
When did we start not paying? When was that?
January 30th.
January 30th. Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that, we haven't had a discussion on our budget just yet. And I think that you should probably have further discussion with the attorney's office on how we can slowly pay this off. But I don't think that I'm going to be able to support $200,000. Will this be coming from the general fund?
General fund reserves.
Reserves? Okay. Mr. Casey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. More than one time, I've asked our council to consider reviewing our budget on a quarterly basis, and for whatever reason, we had decided then not to do that. So maybe if we, looking forward, maybe we should, put that part of our agenda item, maybe, I don't know how to do it, because again, since I've been on the council, I've asked that we review the budget at least on a quarterly basis. And since I've been on the council, we've not reviewed the budget at all. And instead, we have these sorts of things come up where we need to make an amendment to add money to the budget. So, we have a bill, we got to pay it, we got to take it out of reserve, we got to find a way to pay the bill. I understand that. But if our council, I don't pretend to know everything, but I do know that we need to review the budget to make sure that this doesn't happen, because it's an embarrassment, almost as embarrassing as the months and months and months we've had to have a baseball program. But we have no option really but to pay our bill. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, can I invite Councilmember Casey?
Go ahead.
So as far as doing a quarterly budget review, I know Stanislaus County does that, but they have a whole team to be able to do that. I have basically an accountant and I have a deputy finance director that are busy overseeing other things, but we do a quarterly update to the council would be very labor intensive, and I don't have the personnel to do it. And this was not, you could not projected or predicted this when we started last year because of the lawsuits that came in.
Yeah, I understand, but that doesn't solve the problem. There's people out there in the audience, the employees, the people that aren't here, those 17 people or 16 people on Zoom. We need to be more accountable for the money that we spend. That's really the bottom line. And I don't know if there's 5 of us. Can't we see that how labor intensive is it for us we have the budget, we're going to spend $27 million the first quarter. So far we spent 15 million, or we spent 30 million. Yeah. I understand the detail that the county may have, but we're not the county, we're the city of Ceres. We have an accountability to the citizens, to our employees. We're going to go into labor negotiation tonight. We have an accountability to report the money that we have and how it's being spent. And I'm not arguing with you, disagreeing with you. We just have to work harder to make it happen. And there's 5 of us. Maybe we can help do part of it. But thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting me speak. Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
No.
Motion carries 4-1.
Moving on to a discussion item for Measure H Citizens Oversight Committee appointment process. Fallon, this one's yours.
Thank you, Mayor. April 28th, City Council meeting, Council approved an update to the Council Rules and Procedures Handbook to include options on how to conduct committee appointments. Currently, we have a Measure H, we have 3 Measure H vacancies coming up that we're recruiting for. It was supposed to be closed the end of April. We only received 2 applications. We extended the application deadline to the end of May. But nonetheless, the handbook now, the Council Rules and Procedures Handbook now provides the council the opportunity to choose between 2 different appointment processes, either an open meeting interview process or creating a subcommittee, which is what we've done in recent past. And with that said, the council can have discussion to decide which appointment process they would like to take for this upcoming Measure H vacancies.
And if you can please explain how we came to this point. Like, for example, we had a previous discussion, but we had to amend the councils and procedures, right? And now we're having the discussion on how we're going to proceed with Measure H.
Correct. So back in late March, a Measure H appointment process came about before council to appoint 2 members of the council to create the subcommittee. As like I said, we've done in recent past. A conversation ensued with council on the option of having open meeting interviews. Later, another item came back to council, the April 28th, as a result of that discussion on March 24th, which incorporated those 2 options into the council rules and handbook.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead and open this item up to members of the public. You have any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none. Online?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, bring this item back for discussion. Councilmember Vieira?
Thank you. I just want to confirm the 3 that their terms are ending at the end of next month, they were notified that, okay, because I know once you kind of get in the process and you forget this is the year.
Yes, thank you for that. But yes, they were both notified at the beginning of April that their seats were coming to an end and that they would need to reapply if they so chose to do.
Both or all 3? Because it looks like there's 3 that are up, Randy, Vincent, and Sophie.
Correct. There's 3 vacancies. We've only received 2 applications.
Thank you. And I'm happy to go with, I don't know how everyone else feels, but just having open dialogue since it's the only time we get to talk together. Is the idea where we brought up with open, since this is still dealing with people's tax dollars, I still think even if there's only 2 that applied for the 3 positions, I still think they should go through a public interview. I still think the public needs to know who's representing their tax dollars and making the decisions for them, even if it is a basic decision. And I'm hoping all the 1-2 that did apply are fully competent, but I think we should still go with what we approved or what we set forth in moving forward with this vote and discussion.
Councilmember Otero?
Yes, the meeting in the interview process needs to be open meeting. As Councilmember Vieira stated, the public needs to be present and they need to be able to also observe who's being selected and what information is being shared.
Do we need a motion on this, Nubia?
Yes, and public comment if we haven't already.
I think we already asked for the public. Any additional comments from the council members?
Nope, but I'll make a motion to have it an open interview.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey?
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira?
Yes.
Councilmember Otero?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez?
Aye.
Mayor Lopez?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 to have an open meeting interview for the upcoming Measure H vacancies.
Thank you very much. Moving on to council member referrals, Otero.
Okay. Just in an effort of having transparency with all the conversation of the Field 3 lighting at Costa Fields, I'm grateful that staff has been looking into different options, but I would actually like to make a referral specific for this so that way we can get updates on where we at in the process. This is a huge liability for the city and there were quotes that were previously submitted. So if we can possibly have those quotes reviewed again and have the funding options explored and presented to the council.
Could you add, Serena, that we get some email updates along the way between the council meetings?
That would be great if there was some updates along the way by email. That would help us all to stay on the same page.
Just looking for a nod, thumbs up over here.
Consensus will actually be taken when this item is agendized.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for the explanation. Any additional referrals? We got Mr. Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to follow up on the email from Mr. Franco that we reconsider what we voted on in public, not to pay the outstanding money. And then we had some other issues come up, but I would like the council to reconsider belonging to the Tuolumne River Regional Park Citizens Advisory Group. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Got that, Fallon? Councilmember Vieira?
This is just kind of backing off. I'm kind of backing with Martinez here regarding the idea of a letter of support if the council is supportive of it. Maybe even members of the community when it comes to maybe just saying, hey, with TID, I know your funding has been cut in support of lights, but us as a community and maybe as a council, as well as other organizations that may be out in the audience, also doing maybe a letter of support, at least for the 5 of us, if we can agree on it, or see if we can agree if they don't have a proposal for us before the next council meeting when it gets at least put on the referral agenda. To see if we can kind of push this along since we do want to try to get this done by the end of the year.
Okay. Moving on to reports. I have nothing to report. Council members? Daniel Martinez, Vice Mayor, you were first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not really a report. I just wanted to thank Interim Chief Hudson. The last few weeks, your police department's been putting out a lot of posts, sharing a lot of information. Your investigation bureau has been doing a lot of good work.
Misspoke. You said Hudson.
I'm sorry. I did Johnson. I was looking. I wrote Hudson because I was going to congratulate him as well.
He didn't say a word, did he?
Let me rephrase that. Interim Chief Johnson, I just want to thank your police department for all the hard work they've done. Your investigation bureau, all the cases they've been closing, all the press releases you've been putting out. That's great information. A lot of big crimes have been closed. So just thank you, sir. And then Lieutenant Hudson, congratulations on 20 years, sir.
Okay, we'll go with Councilmember Sereno Otero.
Seems like there's been a lot going on lately, but I again want to welcome KW Recovery to our community. They have a new shop or business right there in the Richland Shopping Center. Also, the Drip Coffee Bar is downtown. Delicious coffee. I also want to thank the Street Fair Committee for everything that they did, everyone who participated in that, volunteers, all the nonprofits that came out, all the groups that came out to sell food, whoever provided entertainment. It was a great time. So thank you to the community and thank you to all who were involved with that. And also last week I did attend the Peace Officer Memorial Service, and I would just like to remind everybody, you know, in regards to our police officers, please give them thanks when you see them. Sometimes they don't always receive that, and it's important that we do that. They have a hard enough job right now. And congratulations, Lieutenant Hudson.
Okay, Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you. Look, it's going to be fairly short because the homeless meeting is this week, so I don't have updates on that. I know from the last meeting, they had mentioned Section 8 was being cut under the new state funding and federal funding, so there are going to be some cuts to that and less funding that's going to be available through the Department of Housing. So they are using other grants that are still available that haven't been cut. The meeting is coming up this week, so I'm hoping to have some more information. And kind of tailing with Vice Mayor Martinez, I'm glad of all the open communication. I get tons of calls, and you guys know I'll jump on the scanner and just show up at your scenes if I don't get the communication. And I'll be out there taking pictures like I was this weekend because I want to know. So I think the communication is important and vital, and it kind of keeps us from having to drive to the corner and just kind of watch and find out, because people are calling and texting me, and I don't have a problem at just kind of showing up. So I appreciate the communication that lets me stay at home and not in my fuzzy slippers in the front yard. I only say that because that's what happened this weekend. I was outside in my fuzzy slippers. When it comes to that, I did go to a conference this last week that was not, just so you guys know, there was no city funding. I did get either my own funding and or grant to go down to a conference regarding supporting and breaking some of the cycles of poverty and starting members of our community. This includes starting new businesses, which we have Julian, and he has various organizations that come here into the city to actually help businesses. when it comes to actually starting your business. If you want to start a business here in Ceres, we want to make sure we're supportive. We do have your business licenses in multiple languages now, so we have it in more than just English. And we coordinate with STEP, who actually come in and offer free trainings actually here. They also talk about workforce strategies and education. And with that said, since I do work in the educational field, I am here to support anyone who wants to go to the community college. That's just kind of what I do. I can get most FAFSAs done in about 15 minutes. I think my record is 7, but I am happy to try to beat that record. These 18-year-olds are very, very smart though. But with that said, with the street fair, I'm really glad with all the work that went in by everyone in the community, including the members of that committee. It was a very well-organized event. I had a lot of fun. I was out here both days, and I just really enjoyed and had a good time here. And I appreciate everyone that came out as well. And there was a lot of people I was able to connect with and talk to. And I'm always here if you guys do have any questions or emails, always feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to meet with you either by phone or in person. Thank you.
Mr. Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the honor last Monday, the 6th, to participate in an award ceremony of scholarships for the Argus and Endeavor High School students. And Mr. Stan Sinclair asked me if I would be able to pass out the scholarship. So we gave out 10 scholarships to students, and I think that whatever people might think of what goes on at Argus and Endeavor, those teachers do a great job. They had 192 people show up supporting the students, the parents working hard to help the kids get back on track. All 10 of the scholarship recipients are going on to Modesto Junior College, and some are going on to Stanislaus State. And for me personally, it was a great honor to be able to participate in that program. Also, I'd like to follow up on John Warren, citizen of Ceres, reminding everyone of what a great country we have and the results of the sacrifices of the many men and women throughout the ages, from the Civil War to the Vietnam War to the Afghan battles that go on. As bad as we might think sometimes of our country, if it wasn't for those brave men and women who gave their lives for this great country that we have. And please take the time to come out on the 26th and honor the men and women in our community. Thank you, John, for bringing it to our attention. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. City Manager, updates?
I have nothing to report.
City Attorney,
Nothing tonight.
Department Heads? None whatsoever. Okay. We'll now adjourn to closed session for conference with legal counsel regarding anticipation litigation, California Government Code 54956. For one potential case, a conference with labor negotiator, California Code 54957. Agency designated representatives are City Manager Douglas D. Dunford, the Human Resource Director Delilah Vasquez. Employee organizations are the Ceres Police Officer Association, First Line Supervisors Confidential Bargaining Group, Laborers International Union North of American LIUNA, Mid Managers Bargaining Group of the Public Safety Managers. Lastly, a conference regarding liability claims, California Government Code 5495695. Mark Mahoney, an agency claimed against the city of Ceres. Is there anybody in the public that would like to make a comment on this closed session? Seeing none, nobody online. Okay, this meeting is now adjourned. God bless everybody. Have a good night. Welcome back. No reportable action.